Sixth chapter, way to realization.
Role of the guide. ಈ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ.
Yes, we have done 3 pages.
ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ?
Yes, on 3
So,
pages ಆಗಿದೆ.
ಅದೇನೆ 432. ಸೊ ಅದು 5 types of masters ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ? 5 types of disciples ಆಯ್ತು. Unfortunately, today the selection of the proper guide is much neglected. Although every religion minded, ಇದೆಲ್ಲೋ ಇದು ಆಯ್ತು ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ.
2 paragraphs down.
Disciple hunters, ಅದು ಆಯ್ತಲ್ವಾ? ಆಯ್ತು. Not only this, but in order to ensure the monopoly of their profession, they declare that none but one belonging to the privileged class has the right of being a guru, whether he may be a sannyasin or a householder. They claim to be world teachers of religion by right of birth, irrespective of their capabilities and worth. Sannyasins too, you will find these daily in multitudes, posing as Mahatmas and professing to be Jagat Gurus, teachers of the world. Is it not a pity to find such professional impostors who are a shame to the nation and religion roaming about with complete impunity to cheat and defraud ignorant people in order to serve their own selfish ends? It is high time for the masses to open their eyes and see what havoc has been brought by such persons. Gurudom, as a monopoly of the privileged class, is an absurdity propagated by the professional gurus to safeguard their personal interests. So privileged caste andre, so some people say that to only people belonging to such and such a caste, they can only be gurus. ಈ ಥರ ಇಲ್ಲ. So they see every caste has multiple subcaste, and they'll take the one of the privileged subcaste and say that the guru can only belong to this particular subcaste. So these are all kinds of things. Among the caste you can say this, among the subcaste also you can say this, among the religion also you can say this. So this same rule, same principle applies, that only a person coming from this such and such a background can be a guru. So the popularly believed principle that a disciple can never break off the sacred connection with his guru under any circumstances is also a cunning device adopted by those false gurus to make their position safe and secure, and is nothing but a fraud. The practice of initiating a disciple has been much abused by most of the modern professionals who do not understand its real significance. Their only function as a guru is to breathe a few mystical words into the ears of the disciple at the time of initiation and tell them to follow certain ceremonial practices by way of worship. Their duty to the disciple ends there, and therefore nothing more is done by them for the betterment of the disciple except giving them their darshan every year and realizing their annual toll and tribute from them. This is what happens in most of the other organizations. ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಗೊತ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆ? ಮಠದಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಹಿಂಗೆ ನಡೆಯೋದು. ವರ್ಷಕ್ಕೊಂದ್ಸತಿ ದರ್ಶನ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಏನೋ ಒಂದಿಷ್ಟು ನೀವು ಕಪ್ಪ ಕಾಣಿಕೆಗಳು ಕೊಡ್ತೀರಾ, ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮುಗೀತು. ಸೊ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ 5 ನಿಮಿಷ ವಿಚಾರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ, ನೀವು ಸಮಾಧಾನ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ, ಖುಷಿ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತ, ಗುರುಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆ ಗಮನ ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ನೀವು ಮನೆಗೆ ಬರ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಯು ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಫೀಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ದಟ್ ದ ಗುರು ವಾಸ್ paid attention to you, and then you come back home after having given your gifts. And they don't actually see you in separation, seclusion. They see you in multitude. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಮಾಸಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಅದೇ ಥರ ನಾವಿದೆ ಅಂದರೆ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ದೇ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಡೂ ಎನಿ ವರ್ಕ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಗ್ರೌಂಡ್. Really, a disciple should formally be initiated only when true faith exists in him and divine love takes prime root in the heart. So when should a person be initiated? ಅಂದರೆ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಡ್ರಿ. When true faith exists in him and divine love takes hold in the heart, prime root in the heart. Initiation signifies that the disciple's link has been connected with the supreme power. That is what is the meaning of initiation. Initiation ಅಂದರೆ the disciple has now been connected to the supreme power. In that case, spiritual force begins to flow to the disciple automatically according to the absorbing capacity he develops in himself. So the more the disciple develops the absorbing capacity, the more the spiritual force flows from the source. It depends upon the power and the capability of the master to establish a sound connection for which a high caliber is needed. So power and capability of the master, underline ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ರಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗಲ್ಲ ಇದು. A sound connection is based on the power and capability of the master. A sound connection, once established, shall continue until the disciple secures liberation, which in such cases is not a far off matter to be attained after numerous lives. ಸೊ ಒಂದೇ ಲೈಫಲ್ಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಡಿಸೈಪಲ್ ರೆಡಿ ಆಗಿದ್ರೆ ಗುರುನು ಒಳ್ಳೆ ಸ್ಟ್ರಾಂಗ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಡ್ತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಮುಗೀತು, ಸೌಂಡ್ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್. In fact, if a disciple is initiated in the right sense of, as mentioned above by the guru of high caliber, the question of breaking off can never arise. But for the professional gurus who perform mock initiations to serve their purpose, it's a matter of constant anxiety. Therefore, in order to keep a disciple permanently in their grip, they proclaim it as a divine dictate that he shall be courting all the miseries of hell if he ever thought of breaking off from them at any time. The ignorant masses accept it as a gospel truth, trembling at the very idea of doing anything which might displease their guru. So they always try to put up with all their atrocities in passive submission. I am sure that there is not the slightest suggestion to this found in our Shastras. It is only ingenuity on the part of these teachers of religion. ಇದು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಏನು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆಯಾ?
Why is a sound connection only maintained until liberation?
Liberation is the minimum. See, after liberation, even if the connection snaps, it will not snap, but even if it snaps for whatever reason, nature will automatically ensure your progress. See, the critical thing is liberation. Most important thing. Although we say that it's the lowest of the achievement, the critical thing is liberation. Because till liberation, you have a choice. Once liberation is done, the soul doesn't have a choice in the sense that it will automatically continue to evolve to the center. So from the single cell organism to human beings, it is an automatic evolution. From human being to liberation is a choice-based evolution. From liberation to the center, again, is the automatic evolution. So there are 3 phases. So there is no need to assume that the connection is severe just because a disciple is liberated. No need to assume that. But what he is saying is that the critical point is achieved. The critical point is the liberation. After which there is a certain degree of automatism in the journey. So from a single cell organism to human beings is automatic. Nature does it. We don't do anything. At the level of human being, we can go round and round here. It's left to our choice. You will only get liberation if you choose it, not otherwise. Then secondly, once the liberation is got, then the journey again is automatic. Again, it's taken care of by nature. So 3 phases. So now you are in the second phase. You have to go to the third phase. Anybody who is born as a human being is in the second phase. So if somebody, after being born as a human being, goes back to animal life, it's like a big demotion. So again, they have to go through the same cycle, through the nature working on them, and again come back to human life. That's what happens. Doubt idea? Bharat.
No. But if the journey is automatic after liberation, what is the role of Guru there when it is automatic?
The Guru accelerates the journey. The role of the Guru, even now, when we are in human being, is also automatic. This is accelerating the journey only. So if you allow things to nature and follow the difficult path of the past, where people were following so many different sadhanas, even to achieve liberation, they said that it's going to take n number of lives. But now you are not doing it in that way. You are accelerating the journey. So the role of the Guru is a catalyst in a reaction. In a chemical reaction, the reaction will take place anyway. But if you put a catalyst, it happens pretty fast. So the role of the Guru in spiritual journey is to act like a catalyst. And the Guru does not only act as a catalyst during the stage of liberation. achieving liberation. Even after that, he is a catalyst only. ಸರಿ, ಇನ್ನೂ ಡೌಟ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಭರತ್ಗೆ?
When there was one idea where master says when Abbas is given 3 sittings, master keeps in his own for 7 months.
That's not that. That's a later initiation. The 3 introductory sittings are not equivalent to this what we talk about master keeping in 7 months. No, that's a different initiation. So there are 2 levels of initiation. The initially 3 levels of the 3 introductory sittings are the first level of initiation. Then you have the second level of initiation. Here, what Babaji is talking about as initiation, in the earlier part also we mentioned about master keeping in his home, mental home for 7 months. This is higher initiation. So not the 3 introductory sittings. 3 introductory sittings is actually you are developing gradually a taste for spirituality. You are still developing faith for the master. You are developing so many other things. Trust in the master, obedience in the master, discipline in the master. All these things you are still developing. So that stage of initiation will only occur when we actually come to that 9th point, the higher initiation, where a strong connection is established with the ultimate. And there again, that's why we say that as we go higher and higher in spirituality, our role becomes more, and master's role becomes critical and critical, more critical. Because at the higher stages, there's a huge force that pushes down. So in other words, we require somebody to actually hold us up as we go higher. See, ಏನೇ ಹತ್ತಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ, have you seen that when you are climbing a ladder, the first 3-4 steps, you don't feel so much fear. Right? You climb 10 steps, you start feeling a bit fear. Suppose you start climbing 15 steps or 20 steps or 50 steps. You climb a tall coconut tree. You look down. What do you feel? I'll first climb and let me see, sir. I've never climbed a coconut tree. See, I don't think I will also not climb a coconut tree. Have anyone climbed here? I don't think so. ಮನಿ ಹತ್ತಿದ್ಯಾ? ಸಣ್ಣವನು ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಭಯ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹತ್ತುತ್ತಾ ಇರೋದು. ಒಂಚೂರು ಬಾಡಿ ಕಾನ್ಶಿಯಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ತಿದ್ದಂಗೆ ಭಯ ಬರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಶುರು ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಈಗ ಹತ್ತು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳು, ಯಾಕೆ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಹತ್ತು ಕೈ ಕಾಲು ಬಿಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು, ಏನು ಬೇಡ ಸರ್, ಆರಾಮ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ಯು ಡೋಂಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಫೀಲ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಕ್ಲೈಂಬಿಂಗ್. But as you go higher, the fear increases. Now you might wonder, where is this fear coming from? The fear is coming from the original fear. Remember the 3 coverings in the central region: separation, anxiety, and desire. The fear is coming from there. So the reason why you feel fearful is 2. One is that as you go higher, you are coming more closer to the original covering that you got, the fear. So the fear becomes intense. Also, when you are actually on the earth, you are still identified with the body. So when you climb higher and higher, that fear of something happening to the body also comes. And the third reason is, if something happens to the body, that will actually be detrimental for the journey of the soul. On one hand, you are trying to make some journey of the soul. Now you are trying to put the body, which is the instrument for that journey, into some kind of a risk. So that also causes fear. So what if something happens to the body? Now it's not just about body identification, but also the fact that, 1 minute. It's also the fact that you have now utilized, you have now started seeing the body as a vehicle for your transformation, spiritual transformation. So you also now become more cautious in making sure that you take care of the body well, because that is the instrument that is given to you. As long as you are in the body, you have a chance of progressing higher and higher. The moment you shut the body, that progress is not possible. After liberation, that is possible, but before liberation, it's not possible. Again, you have to come back and take one more body. So why do you want to do that? So that's the reason, as we go higher, no, especially old age people, they're very much concerned about their body. Small things also, they'll feel very, very intensely anxious about any small issues. So that's why they keep repeatedly checking the blood. They keep repeatedly asking you for reassurance. Is everything okay? Everything okay? So that's an indication that a spiritual person will not ask that. Spiritual person is of course concerned with the body to maintain the body, but they will not ask you repeatedly because they don't identify with the body so strongly. More the identification of the body, more the seeking of reassurance. That is what happens. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಇನ್ನೂ ಏನೋ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆ ಭರತ್ಗೆ. ಇನ್ನೇನೋ ವೈಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ. ಏನು ವೈಬ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗ್ತಿದೆ ಹೇಳಿ.
I just wanted to know from preceptor's point of view, what exactly you give in the first three settings.
That you will only learn after you become a preceptor. Because you only answered your question. You said from a preceptor's point of view. That you will get to know once you become a preceptor. You will be taught about it. So you have answered your question yourself. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಬೂಗಿ ಟ್ರಾಪ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು. ಹುಷಾರ್ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನೇನೋ ಟ್ರಾಪಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗಾಕ್ಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರ. ನೀವು ಹತ್ರ ಪಾಠ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಪೂರ್ತಿ ಎಚ್ಚರಿಕೆಯಿಂದ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಅಲರ್ಟ್, ಅವೇಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅವೇರ್. ದೆನ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಲೆಸನ್ಸ್. ಬರದ್ದು ನೋಡಿದ್ದೀರಾ? ಬರದ್ದು ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಒಂಚೂರು ವೈಬ್ರೇಷನ್ ಆಯಿತು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಇಮಿಡಿಯೇಟ್ಲಿ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ಆನ್ ದ ಫೇಸ್. Some level of vibration in the mind, it becomes apparent in the face. Anyway, you know what happens? Now body language ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ವಾ, ಸೊ ಫೇಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ ನಾವು ಸಮಥಿಂಗ್ ಇಸ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಆನ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಅಂತ, ಕಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ, ಬಾಡಿ ಮೂಮೆಂಟಲ್ಲಿ ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಡೂಯಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿ ಸ್ಟಾಪ್. ಅಂದರೆ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಾಲಿಟಿ ಇನ್ ದ ಮೂಮೆಂಟ್. ಈಗ ನೋಡಿ, ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಅವನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದ, ಅವಾಗಲೇ Gopal Krishna, the hand was static. That means that there is some question. That free flow is interrupted. We all pick up all these things, but we don't pay attention to all these things. How do we know that there's somebody needs to ask a question? I look at all these things. What are the changes in the body language? Is there any, stoppage in the moment? ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಆರಾಮಾಗಿ ಹಿಂಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರ ಅಂತ ಇಟ್ಕೋ, ಕತ್ತಿಂಗ್ ತಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಡಿಸ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರ, ಸಡನ್ ನಿಲ್ಲಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀರ. ದಟ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಯು ವಾಂಟ್ ಟು ಆಸ್ಕ್ ಎ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್. ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ದೀಸ್ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಲರ್ನ್ ಟು ವಾಚ್ ಔಟ್ ಫಾರ್. These are all signs of observation. Spirituality is nothing but science of observation. The more deeper you go into the science of observation, the more you pick up in spirituality. Same. Observation that is apparent, observation that is not apparent, that's hidden. You should be able to perceive both. Observation that is apparent is what you can see. Observation that is hidden is what you can feel. That's why observation and feeling ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ ಮೆಡಿಟೇಷನ್ ಆದಮೇಲೆ. What did you see? What did you feel? Same thing applies now also. At all stages of life, these are the two things. Observation, feeling. Observation, feeling. That's it. ಸೊ ಯಾರು ನಾನು ಲವ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ, ಗೊತ್ತಿಲ್ದರೇ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ. ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ಡಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಟೋಮೆಟಿಕ್ಲಿ ವಿದೌಟ್ ಇವನ್ ದೇರ್ ನಾಲೆಜ್. ದೆನ್ ಯು ಮೈಟ್ ವಂಡರ್ ವೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಫ್ರಮ್. Your heart will suddenly open up and give you all these things, the necessary tools to tap into the love. ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತಾ? ಕುಕ್ಕರ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ? ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ವಾ? ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಿದೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಕುಕ್ಕರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ವಿಸಲ್ ಹಿಡಿದು ಮರ್ತೋಗಿದ್ದೆ ನಾನು. ಈ ಕುಕ್ಕರ್ ಇಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬಂದೆ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಓಡೋಗಿದ್ದು ಇವ್ರು ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ. Suddenly I remembered, I will not keep the whistle. Right. So today simultaneously two things are happening. Cooking in the kitchen also and the book reading also. ಸೊ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಲ್ಟಿ ಟಾಸ್ಕಿಂಗ್ ಕರಿಬೇಕು ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಯೂತ್ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ನೀನು? ಮತ್ತೆ ಪೈನಾಪಲ್ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಡ.
ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟರ್.
ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ? ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟರ್. ಏನ್ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ?
ಅದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಇತ್ತು.
ಸೊ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಕಂಡಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಗುಡ್. ಸೊ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗ್ರೋಯಿಂಗ್ ದೆನ್. ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್. ಇನ್ ಒಂದು ವಿಸಲ್ ಆದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು, ಜ್ಞಾಪ್ಸ ನಂಗೆ. ಗೋಪಾಲ ಕೃಷ್ಣ, ನಿಂಗೆ ವಿಸಲ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಜ್ಞಾಪ್ಸ ನಂಗೆ. 3 ಆಯ್ತು, 4 ಆಗಿ ಕಾಯ್ತಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ಸರಿನಾ? ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಓದೋಣ. I hold it to be the birthright of every man to break off from his guru at any time if he finds that he has made a wrong selection or has misjudged the guru's capacity or worth. He is free to seek another guru at any stage. Right. He is free to seek another guru if at any stage he finds that his guru has not the capacity to take him beyond what he already has acquired. On the other hand, a conscientious Guru must himself, under the circumstances, direct his disciple to seek another more advanced and better qualified Guru so that the disciple's progress may not in any way suffer. This is the sacred duty of a true selfless Guru. If, however, permission to break off sought by the disciple is denied by the Guru on account of his selfish motives, the disciple is at liberty to break off from him at once and seek another. No moral or religious law ever forbids him from doing so. A little advanced among the class of gurus are considered to be those who teach and preach on the basis of the knowledge of the Shastras and other holy books. They have established orders and ashrams where they enjoy a kingly position among their followers. They go out and address large audiences, telling them what to do and what not to do, explaining to them problems concerning Maya, Jiva and Brahman. People flock to them in thousands to hear their sermons, admiring their high ideas and extensive knowledge, and regard them as great Mahatmas or saints. They ask them numerous intricate questions, and if they are able to answer them out of their stock of knowledge of the Shastras, their greatness as a Mahatma is established in their minds, and they are induced to accept them as gurus. But really, they have thus put to this their learning and not the real worth. So, learning of the Shastra. In Kannada we say Sakala Veda Parangata. ಏನು ಎಲ್ಲ ಸಕಲ ವೇದನೂ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ಯಾ ಅಂತ ಮನೇಲಿ ಬೈತಾರೆ. ಪೀಪಲ್ ಸ್ಕೋಲ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಹೌಸ್. ಏನು ಸಕಲ ವೇದ ಪಾರಂಗತ ನೀನು ಅಂದರೆ ಯು ನೋ ಆಲ್ ದ ವೇದಾಸ್ ಅಂತ. ದೇ ಯೂಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಎ ಸ್ಕೋಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಟ್ ಹೋಮ್, ಆಸ್ ಇಫ್ ಯು ನೋ ಆಲ್ ದ ವೇದಾಸ್. ಸೊ that was because in the olden days not everybody used to read the Vedas. So Vedas used to be kind of initially was available for everyone. Later on, it was only kind of restricted to one particular class of people, and they were supposed to be considered as learned. So, ಇದು ನಿಮಗೆ ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣ ದೇವರಾಯ ಅಂತ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ಇದೆ, ನೋಡ್ರಿ ಅದನ್ನು. ಶ್ರೀಕೃಷ್ಣ ದೇವರಾಯ ಸಿನಿಮಾದಲ್ಲಿ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಹೂ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ಟು ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ದ poets in the king's premises. You can watch that scene. And cinema name is Hasyaratna Ramakrishna. Anant Nag is the hero. You can watch that. It's been quite a while that I've given you homework of watching a cinema. Now you can do it. And it's a comedy cinema also. You will actually enjoy it. So one person comes and says, I have read everything in this thing. So if you don't answer my question, everyone should become my slave. So, and the scenario goes on after that. So you can just watch that. In other words, 64 ವಿದ್ಯೆನೂ ಕರತಲ ಮಾಡಿ ಕುಡಿದವನು. In the Kannada group, I'm asking them to recite 64 Vidyas. What were the Vidyas that you were supposed to learn in the olden days? Every person had to learn these 64 Vidyas. And now they have said that they only remind me. And now we have to say 4 part of that 64 Vidyas. I've given them 16 days to recite the 64 Vidyas. And asking them to write about it. So the third one was over on Saturday. Now today the fourth one. 13 to 16. And one Vidya in that is Alankara. So I told all the sisters that is something that comes naturally to you. You don't need to worry about it. Alankara Vidya. And second one is drama. I said all of us do it. We don't need any training for that at all. The drama. Nataka. Then Kavya. Kavya is writing poems, writing imaginary stuff. Adalla. So there are quite a few. Nyaya, then truthfulness. So they have said around 12 till now. So this is another homework for them to kind of get reminded that these are the things that people were studying in the past. Taking care of the horses, taking care of learning to manage the elephants, taking care of plants. They were all part of the process of learning for them. So anyway, it might well be born in that mind that it is not the learning or knowledge that makes a man perfect, but it's only realization in the right sense that makes a true yogi or saint. It is just possible that the man who has thus impressed you with outward form, learning, or eloquence may be at the lowest level as regards practical attainments. Knowledge, therefore, is no criteria of a true Mahatma or yogi. Similarly, a real test of the Mahatma or Guru is not his miracles but his experience on the path of realization. So, knowledge and miracles are not the criteria for testing the Guru. It is his achievements on the path of realization. The popular meaning of a Mahatma as a great individual does not appeal to me. I would define a Mahatma as the most insignificant being, or rather a neglected figure beyond all feelings of greatness, pride, and egoism, dwelling permanently in the state of complete self-negation. That is a Mahatma. So, who is a Mahatma? That definition will come. There is an examination question. There are some who hold the view that knowledge, being the preliminary stage of realization, is essential and indispensable. I do not agree with them on the ground that knowledge is only an achievement of the mind, brain, whereas realization is an awakening of the soul and hence far beyond its scope. Therefore, a real teacher is not the one who can explain to us the soundness of the religious dogmas or who can prescribe to us the do's and don'ts. What we stand in need of is a guru. From a guru is a true impulse to effect the awakening of the soul and his direct support in the course of our further march on the path of realization. So, a direct impulse to awaken the soul and direct support on the path of realization. These are the two things required from the guru. Such a man we have to seek for if we aim at success. Now, it is evident that while judging a man to be our spiritual guide, we must take into account not only his learnings and miracles, but his practical achievements in the field of realization. A man who himself is free can free you from eternal bondage. If your guru is not free from the bondage of samskaras, mayas, and ahankara, it is not possible for him to free you from these bondages. Serena. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಲ್ಸೋಣ 7:15. We're just right on time. ಸೊ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಮಿಷನ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಚಾಪ್ಟರ್ ಅದೆರಡು ಮುಗಿದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಈ ಪುಸ್ತಕ ಮುಗಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಸರಿನಾ? ಇನ್ನೇನ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳಿತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬನ್ನಿ, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಗೆ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬನ್ನಿ. ಸರಿನಾ? ಸರಿ ಹಾಗಾದ್ರೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಬಂದಿದ್ರು ಹುಬ್ಳಿನಲ್ಲಿ?